Good evening, everyone. I think like all of you and our fans, this for me has been a week that has been, if nothing else, an emotional roller coaster. We had put in place a process that we hoped would move things along after having tried everything else, whether or not it was big groups, small groups, mediation, and that was to have owners and players meet. And that happened on Tuesday. And the sense that was reported to me was there was a great deal of optimism, good communication, and hope. We reported that to the Board of Governors on Wednesday, and that sense of optimism, though, was something that almost inexplicably disappeared Wednesday afternoon when the four owners returned to the bargaining process. We're at a loss to explain what happened, but things were not of the same tone as they had been on Tuesday. Nevertheless, the owners decided to try and continue to do everything possible to make a new collective bargaining agreement. The key for all of us, particularly the owners, but everybody with the league associated with the game, was to have a long-term agreement. That's what our fans deserve. That's what the game deserves. That's what the players deserve. And that's what all of our business partners deserve. And that's something we wanted to achieve with a system that would work appropriately and would continue to enable us to have great competitive balance and grow the game. With that view in mind, the owners, particularly the four new ones that joined us, Ron Burkle, Jeff Vinnick, Mark Chipman, and Larry Tannenbaum, in addition to joining Murray Edwards and Jeremy Jacobs, they wanted to push ahead and do something bold. And so what they did was, among other things, virtually put a new $100 million on the table on Wednesday night in the hopes that that would help show that we wanted to get back in play, which we do very much, as quickly as possible. The union's response was shockingly silent, so to speak, in terms of the reaction. There was almost no reaction. It was, thank you, we'll take the $100 million, approximate $100 million. The owners were besides themselves. Some of them I had never seen that emotional. And they said they don't know what happened, but this process is over. Clearly, the union doesn't want to make a deal, and this was in particular from the four new entrants to the process. So they went back and reported that to the players, and the player reaction was, well, don't leave. Let's see if we can get back on track. Let's take an hour. Let's have cooler heads prevail. It was in that context that, once again, the owners said, we're going to make another bold move. If I get any of this wrong, tell me, because you were in the room and I wasn't. We're going to give up some of the things that are important to us, such as in the player contract area, but we're going to tell you the things that are vitally important to us and that we need to have. And that was in response to the union telling us that the pension plan, the defined benefit pension plan that they were seeking, was now the key element. Now, earlier in the negotiations, we were told that the make-whole was the key element. Fix the make-whole, we'll have a deal. Well, we addressed the make-whole, and we didn't have a deal. Then it was player contracting, and we made some dramatic moves on player contracting, and that turned out not to be the key to the negotiation. So now it was the pension. And the owners, in light of what happened with the $100 million, said, you know what, we're going to tell you the three or four things that we need, and Bill can take you through those if you want, and we need you to give us those things the way we've asked for them, because we've given up a lot of other things. And if you do that, then we'll get your pension done. There's a lot to work out, but we'll figure out how to do that because we know that's now important to you. And so last night, and again this morning, it was reiterated that we needed to have those key elements. We don't need movement to those key elements. We needed those key elements because that was as far as we could go in light of everything else we had put on the table and in light of everything else we took off the table. So today, we were expecting an answer, a yes or a no. And our instructions from ownership was, if you get the yes, we can proceed and try and get the pension wrapped up and do the other things. And if the answer is no, then there was no point in continuing discussions. We were told we were going to get together at noon, 2, 4, anyway, at 5 or 6 o'clock. Bill and Bob Batterman went over to find out whether or not it was yes or no. It wasn't intended to be a negotiating session. We would then come back together if the answer was yes, and the answer wasn't yes. The take or give or bottom line on all this is, it appears that the union is suggesting, because we made substantial movements in certain areas, that we're close to a deal. But those moves were contingent on the union specifically agreeing on other things, which, while the union may have moved towards, didn't agree to. This collective bargaining agreement is a total package. Okay, dollars are one element. The way the system works, player contracting, is another element. We haven't even yet discussed transitional rules, which has a cost component as well. The characterization that I've just heard transmitted to us that we were close, that reminds me of the last time the union said we were close, and we were $1 billion apart. I'm not sure that spinning us all into an emotional frenzy over maybe we're close and we're going to be playing hockey tomorrow is terribly unfair to our fans, and it's unfair to this process. We're going to take a deep breath and look back at where we are and what needs to be accomplished, but we have moved dramatically. We are proposing a long-term system that will pay the players billions and billions of dollars over its term, but we have to have a system that works right. It's all part of the package. I am disappointed beyond belief that we are where we are tonight, and we're going to have to take a deep breath and try and regroup. One of the things that Bill informed the union of is that the things that we added to the table this week are now off the table. And as I told the union weeks ago, I was under increasing pressure to get the make-whole off the table. If you remember correctly, the make-whole came out of our attempt to save an 82-game season back in early November. And that offer was given virtually no consideration and lapsed. It was our best offer. It was the best we can do. And then we tried to stretch a little more. Sometimes you feel like you're chasing your tail in this process, but we so much wanted to play, we went even further than we should have. And when it didn't get the right response, I started hearing from the clubs, why is the make-whole still on the table? And I told the union I was under increasing pressure to take it off, but that I wasn't going to do that because I wanted to do everything possible to try and keep this process going to get to a deal.